We went to see something. Oh, Ambulance. It said that Ambulance was playing in Titan. And then...
Did they hold over Morbius on
yeah,
that screen?
and it was Morbius actually playing.
I'll talk to you off there. There was a beef between Sony and Universal over the IMAX thing, because Morbius had IMAX for a week, and then Universal was supposed to have Ambulance for a week in IMAX, and there was a big beef between the studios, and a lot of things got fucked up in that process.
Oh.
I'll tell you off the air.
Okay. But yeah, anyway, go check out The Northman.
For sure.
Because it's well worth it, and yeah.
It's early in the year, so I haven't seen a whole lot. I know there's probably going to be some pretty great movies coming out, especially in the fall. But so far, that's a contender for my favorite movie of the year.
Have you seen the Everything...
Everywhere All at Once, the Michelle Yeoh? No, I want to.
I hear that's fucking good.
I hear it's great too. I want to, and some of the places I frequent had it on a really small screen, and I'm still a little sketched out. Sharing an intimate space with strangers.
Okay.
So that's why, like, Northman was on the Titan. I jumped at the chance to go see that there, because that's a huge theater.
Yeah, it's hard to fill that up.
Yeah, and at the time that me and Joel went the other night, it was like there was 10 other people in the theater, and that was it. Out of that's about a 600 seat house. So yeah, that's more my speed. But I definitely want to see Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay. Yeah, that's my one and only for at least for this show.
That's a good one.
And then
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
we'll get into our main focus if you're ready, or your main focus.
Oh man, it's your show. You just allow me on.
That's true. But you have the reins when you come on, so to speak.
Thank you.
All right. So this week we're talking about The Killer, of course. It's from '89, the year that I was born. Holy shit! Crazy. It's rated R. It's runs at 1 hour and 47 minutes, and it's got a impressive 98 on Rotten.
Oh, for once.
Yeah.
For once, I agree.
Written and directed by John Woo, starring Chow Yun-fat, Sally Ye, and Danny Lee. The story follows an assassin, Ah Jung, whose actions accidentally get a young woman, Jenny, critically injured. After this, Jung has a change of heart, vowing to retire after one last hit to cover the cost of Jenny's surgery. During the hit, Jung's identity is compromised by a young police detective, Li Ying, who becomes relentless in his pursuit. Wu was given 90 days to shoot The Killer and started production with nothing more than a treatment, developing the story and fleshing out the details as he went on. Insane. The film's shorter cut was then released in Hong Kong on July 6th in 1989 and took a while to gain traction due to a tragedy that had taken place around the same time. But the film did end up faring well and was nominated for several awards at the 9th Annual Hong Kong Film Awards, 2 of which it won for Best Editing and Director. Over the years, The Killer has had a lasting impact on the world as a whole, inspiring filmmakers, musicians, and even the fashion world alike. With its over-the-top action sequences and unmistakable style, the film was also the first to showcase the use of doves and pigeons, something that would become somewhat of a trademark for Wu later on. Alright, man. So, The Killer. Why'd you choose it? Did you choose it for this month in particular? Any reason in particular? Or
No, just fleshing out our calendar.
Okay.
Towards the end of last year and early this year, when we were thinking about what we were going to cover on at least the episodes that I'll jump in on. And this was a movie I had always wanted to talk about because it's one of my favorites.
Okay.
It's kind of the one that put the Hong Kong movies in the bigger consciousness, and I think it's Woo's best film.
Of everything?
Of everything. I kind of mentioned it when we were teasing the show last month. I think Hard Boiled is probably the pure action film.
Okay.
But Hard Boiled doesn't have the emotional through line that The Killer has.
Okay.
But check out Hard Boiled. It fucking rips too. It's just like 2 hours plus of nonstop fucking action. And it's insane and batshit. But I don't think that... I think that that's pretty much all it is. And in fact, when I was thinking about doing The Killer, I thought about doing Hard Boiled instead. Mm-hmm. But because that's more action-y, more straight action, that might be a little bit harder to talk about. And you and I will just be sitting on mic for 2 hours going, oh, remember this scene? It fucking is awesome. Remember this scene? That scene's awesome too. So I thought The Killer would probably be a better pick because there'd be a little bit more meat on those bones.
And he does do... Yeah, like you said, there's like the emotional through line and like a lot of different little motifs and certain things, yeah.
It's also, like you said, it's the start of some things for him. It's the start of the dubs.
Him finding himself as a director, or his style.
Yeah, I mean, he made at least 2 other films before this that were really fucking good, and those are the Better Tomorrow films, which are great. And I think it's those films that kind of made Chow Yun-fat the star, especially an action star, because he was really more of a romantic leading man up until him hooking up with John Woo and Ringo Lam. He became more of an action guy after that. But A Better Tomorrow 1 and 2, which I think were made in 86 and 87, respectively. I think they're the films that he makes just before The Killer. That John Woo makes just before The Killer. Are really good. Tons of action. The costume that Chow Yun-fat wears in A Better Tomorrow is like changed a lot of things, and a lot of people were wearing, sunglasses with a long trench coat, running around, especially in Hong Kong in the summer, just because it looked cool, because Chow Yun-fat made it look cool. And those movies have a lot of great action. I think A Better Tomorrow, the first one, has a pretty solid emotional through line in it. The second one gets more batshit. The second one is... A Better Tomorrow is to The Killer, like the second one is to Hard Boiled. There's more action in that second one. That... I think I brought this up many years ago when we were talking about Tarantino, but you've seen a piece of Better Tomorrow too, because it's what's playing on the TV in True Romance when Patricia Arquette is watching TV in Clarence's apartment.
Oh, and she's like mimicking what's going on?
Yeah. There's a batshit scene of 2 guys bumping into each other and then turning around and shooting the shit out of each other. And then there's another scene where someone tosses a samurai sword to someone, and then he takes a swipe at it and kills another guy. So you've seen part of that movie before, but you should definitely seek it out. I'm sure it's just as fucking hard to find as all these other Hong Kong movies are at this point, which is super weird because when I first got into them, which is in the mid-90s when Tarantino was a big champion of them, and then Woo had started to make some American films, so a lot of people were talking about his Hong Kong work. But you could find these very easily. I mean, I have A Better Tomorrow 1 and 2. I have The Killer and Hard Boiled. I have Full Contact, and I got them all through, reputable places, through Suncoast maybe, for some of them. So I was a little surprised when you said that The Killer was like really hard to find.
At least digitally. Because the things... Okay, so for the show... If we're going to talk about something that I don't own or I don't have as far as physical media, I'll go and try to get it digitally, whether it be through Vudu or Apple or Prime or wherever. And I was certain that one of them was going to have The Killer, and nobody has it digitally. I don't know. It's probably a rights thing,
And that's weird because it's a super popular Hong Kong movie.
Yeah.
You know, and it's John Woo, and it's one of his most well-known films.
Mm-hmm.
And it blows my mind that it was not available anywhere.
Like, not even there. Like, there's no placeholder, nothing. They just don't have it at all. Because, you know, even on Prime, sometimes it'll be there and it'll say not available right now.
As of this moment.
Not even
available.
a placeholder.
Weird. Weird. Well, maybe this is another Strange Days situation where it's like super hard for your listeners to find it if they haven't seen it.
Well, I saw on Amazon they have, like, you can get the standard DVD for like $10 or less.
It's worth it.
So I mean, you can, if you care enough, you can find them. It's just a little bit more of a mission.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you're looking for it and you're willing to shell out some money to pick it up, hey, look for those other movies I name check too, because they're well worth it. And you should definitely find Hard Boiled.
Going back to the movie, I thought it was interesting watching it now, or watching it for the show, that there's very little to none, like, really hand-to-hand combat.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally all, like, the gung fu stuff.
Yeah.
So it's nuts.
And, I mean, it's really hard to argue that the Hong Kong action movies had a big impact on American action movies.
Yeah.
Because then they started to get more into that. I mean, stuff like The Matrix and John Wick and
Desperado.
Mm-hmm. The El Mariachi movies, like, for sure, were highly influenced by the Hong Kong action movies. So yeah, I'm surprised that some of these aren't easy to find right now. I mean, they're like Tower Video. Remember Tower Video, or even like Tower Records, like in their section, you can find all of them there.
Yeah, I'm sure if you go to FYE or those places, you can probably find old copies of all this stuff, because, like you said, they were big.
Yeah, they were huge.
I think we need, like, a reprint of all this stuff, man. You can't tell me no one would that there's not a market for it now. There has to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you were asking me earlier because both The Killer and Hard Boiled were two of the original releases on Criterion.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those early releases, Criterion has gone back and has re-released on Blu-ray, but those two they have not. They're very much out of print. And they have not released any high-definition transfers of them. So I'm wondering if that's a rights issue, if they can't secure the rights to them to re-release them on Blu-ray on Criterion. Because I would jump at the chance to own them on Criterion. I have Hard Boiled and The Killer on Blu-ray through a company called Dragon Dynasty, which I haven't heard great things about, but I have them on Blu-ray, and the movies are still awesome. But those are the only two John Woo movies that they have. They don't even have any of the Ringo Lam movies. But I would love if Criterion was able to release them on Blu-ray. Because I would jump at the chance to buy both of them.
Well, hopefully us doing this...
Put that energy out in the universe, man.
Just like... you remember how we did Raising Arizona recently, and then the Frida is like, well, by the way, we're going to do a double feature of Raising Arizona and Kick-Ass and call it a cage match. It's like, that's so random.
But there's better Cage movies. I wonder why they went with Kick-Ass. He's good in Kick-Ass. It's just, why not go with a movie where Cage is the real star of it?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome. I would love to see Raising Arizona on the big screen. I've never seen it. It's always been like an HBO watch for me.
Also, It's till the end of next month. I think the 28th. Frida is doing a